Welcome to episode 2 of Snyder's, that's me, Music Biz News. We'll begin with an article for you Jimi Hendrix fans. On November 15th in London or online, there's going to be an auction of a tape of demos that Jimi Hendrix recorded of 4 songs. The 4 songs are Up From the Skies, Ain't No Tellin', Little Miss Love, and Stone Free. How do they sound? You won't know until after you have won the auction and paid for them. Supposed experts have listened to the demos and say that they're very high quality and some of the best playing that he's done. The guitars are out front a little bit more, but you won't get to know that until you actually buy the tape. And there's about, I think, 7 minutes worth of music. The estimated value of this tape is $260,000. So $260,000 for 7 minutes of 4 Jimi Hendrix demos that you can't listen to before you buy it. Sounds like a really good deal. The catch to this is the copyrights for these recordings are actually owned by, I believe, the family. So you won't have copyright clearance to release these demos. In other words, you have to keep them all to yourself. I have in the comments below for the links to all of the articles that I talk about, a link to the auction site and also a link to a PDF that has a whole bunch of items beyond just Jimi Hendrix. There's some Beatles stuff. There's a lot of cool stuff like John Lennon's first guitar amp. Even Britney Spears' outfit on one of her tours already has bid. Somebody's already bid on it, so you might want to jump on those really quick. But there's a whole bunch of very, very cool contracts and all kinds of stuff. So if you're interested in music business history, you should go there to the PDF or to the site if you want to bid and just look through it all. It's all very, 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 very cool. The next article is about Limp Bizkit, and they have never gotten royalties. They've sued Universal Music Group for $200 million. And the quote is, "The band has not been paid a single cent by UMG in royalties until taking action against UMG, leading one to ask, how on earth could that possibly be true?" Now, Limp Bizkit's been around for quite a long time, have had a bunch of really million-selling records. They've done really well. Everybody knows who Limp Bizkit is. Fred Durst said it was all a scheme to conceal royalties from artists and keep those profits for themselves, those evil, evil record labels. Shame on you. But UMG counters by saying that they have paid over $43 million in advances over the years. And the advances, if you don't know, means that this is money the record label gives to the band or the artist to cut their record. It's basically a loan that has to be paid back to the record label, and it's paid back through record sales. So when the record label has sold enough records to pay off what they loaned out to the artist, it's called recoup. They're recouping that money. Then the artist will begin to receive royalty payments for the sales of the records. And this is what Limp Bizkit is saying that they've never received a dime for. And UMG actually said, oh, but we did find $1 million that we do owe you. We just never, and their quote is, we failed to inform the band. So they've had that $1 million sitting there theoretically. We'll see if Limp Bizkit gets their $200 million or not. But this sort of goes to the whole idea of the record industry's corporate evil side. But then you got the accountants, and it always comes down to the accountants made a mistake. And, well, you accountants. The third article is about Green Day. Green Day is put out what's called Dookie Demastered. It's a 30th anniversary of the release of their big selling record, Dookie. And it's to commemorate the 30th anniversary of the album Dookie, re-releasing the album into its obscure, obsolete, or bizarre formats. So each song from that album has been given a certain object, like Basket Case is being sung by Big Mouth Billy Bass, and Chump is being sung by Teddy Ruxpin Bear. By that I mean the recordings themselves are installed in these things. They have a whole bunch of weird things. Here's some more pictures of them. Even a doorbell chime. Okay, so you can sort of see how cool the stuff is. I put the link in the comments area, and also one of the links is to the actual website where you can click on each one of these objects and hear the corresponding song that's on each one. And unfortunately it's over, but there was a drawing for each one of these items that will probably be worth quite a bit of money. I just find it ironic that their 30th anniversary for this record is not, this is even a mix of a mix of a mix and higher quality and remixed and blah, blah, blah. This is actually, we're going to really trash this up, but it's going to be through a cool format. So good for Green Day, and go in the opposite direction. Speaking of opposite directions, cassettes. Tape would stretch and you hear, whoa, we won't do that. They're making a pretty big comeback now. But the dilemma is finding a tape deck. According to Billboard, sales for cassettes has grown 440% in the past 10 years. And musicians and fans have developed a new taste for an old format, but nobody makes players anymore. So listeners are finding creative and vintage solutions. Now we can thank T Swift for this. Since she released her version of 1989 in cassette format, that sort of got people's attention quite a bit. And this year, Tortured Poets Department is the top-selling cassette of the year, with 23,000 copies sold. People were paying money for the cassettes. Where are they playing them? The manufacturers don't make the machines anymore to play them back. One fan's answer was just get an old car that only plays cassettes, and you'll listen every day. So there's your answer. Go out and buy a car that still has a cassette deck. Look, see, I still have the cassettes. The Beatles, it's probably worth a mint now. But to play it, I would need to go out and buy a new car. And the last car sold with a cassette deck in it was the 2010 Lexus. So if you see a 2010 Lexus for sale, you should buy it. Then you can start playing these stretched out tapes that would warble for you, especially when the sun's out and it's hot. So my fifth article is about the Grammys. And the announcements for the nominations for the Grammys will be on November 8th, coming up. And the winners, of course, for the the big show is February 2nd. And if you've ever wondered just how many submissions there are for these awards, well, all of the submissions for consideration as far as being nominated have already been sent in as of October, and again on November 8th they will announce who the nominees are. And just years ago they expanded the number of nominees because just saying a Grammy nominated artist means their record sales actually would go up, so it helps record sales saying you're nominated for a Grammy. This year's Song of the Year had 20 times more entries 978. Now, these are entries just to be considered to be nominated. 978. Whereas the Best New Artist nominations dropped. Not nominations, submissions for nomination dropped from 405 to 323. So fewer new artist considerations. So let's take a look at the number of submissions for some of the categories. As I mentioned before, Song of the Year, there were 978 submissions to be considered to be nominated to win a Grammy. About 8 of those will be selected to be nominated. And so that means there will be 970 very disappointed songwriters. And for you recording engineers, looks like there was 456 submissions for non-classical records. And so if you're a recording engineer, there are 455 other recording engineers, although there might be some duplication. But you're competing with a pretty big bunch of recording engineers. But even more interesting to me is the fewest number of submissions. If you want to win a Grammy, if you want to add the Grammy nominated to your name, then look at Best Gospel Album. There were only 53 submissions to be considered for nominations. And if you take out the number of considerations or nominations, your odds of getting a Grammy or at least being nominated have increased quite a bit. So if you are looking to get a Grammy, you might start working on that big gospel album. The chances are actually pretty good. So hang in there. And finally, we get to Jonesy's cat shit crazy pick. Jonesy's pick is a call for sanity in this crazy political time environment that we're in. These signs are popping up all over the place, and Jonesy totally endorses Wu-Tang forever. So if you want to find a rational sign to put into your yard because everybody else in your neighborhood has one, I have linked to the Amazon page where you can go buy these Wu-Tang forever signs. Jonesy says Wu-Tang forever.